Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Harlequin here, and welcome to the cold, inhospitable, frozen map of Ice Station Obelisk. Today's game is going to be a wonderful 1-versus-1 game between two very, very highly ranked players. Let's go ahead and get this game started. So we will see in the northern position, Mr. Frost, ever so appropriately named for this map, playing today as the Commisar Lord for the Imperial Guard. He's ranked like 2200 or something like that, currently number 2 on the ladder as I cast this. And his opponent today, playing as the Plague Champion, we have Mr. Caeltos. Both of these players you've seen on my channel before, but we don't usually see Caeltos play as the Plague Champion. He did in a recent team game, so I'm curious to see exactly how these two are going to match up. Because it's a pretty fun game here. So I really love this map, actually. I really like the way that they arted it out, adding all the ice everywhere and the snow everywhere. I used to at first think it was kind of bland, but now it's like I really, really love it. It's just a very consistent map. Also, the layout of the map is very symmetrical. It's a very plain Jane kind of map, but it leads to a lot of fun, I think. Anyhow, let's take a look at some of these build orders. We can see that Frost went ahead and got a Sentinel first, then moving on to some Guardsmen. And as you can see, it looked like the Sentinel just kind of bumped into a bunch of Chaos Space Marines, realized he was actually looking for these heretics over here, and very quickly and briskly walked away. Caeltos, on the other hand, we saw get one pack of Space Marines, and now here he is with another little group of Space Marines coming out. You can see the Sentinel is just kind of looking to be annoying here. Sentinels, of course, if you didn't realize this, they can't cap points, but they can decap points, so they're pretty good for being annoying and aggressive. You can see here, this Commisar Lord just charges everywhere he goes. He doesn't know what he's charging at exactly, but he wants to get there in a hurry. So here we have the first little skirmish going on between the Guardsmen and the Plague Champion. The Plague Champion just going to have to waddle away with his ugly self there as he's getting kind of hacked up a little bit. But you can see now he's got some nice backing going on by the Chaos Space Marines. Looks like the Commisar Lord going to go ahead and activate his shield there, draining his mana a little bit. But I believe the double fire from the Chaos Space Marines will prevail. And yes, beautiful looking micro here. You can see that it looks like Caeltos got to go ahead and force melee with one squad of Chaos Space Marines while the other one sits there and focuses away. And up top, what could it be? It looks like the Sentinel still... I mean, at the very last, was able to find what he was looking for there. So he was able to get in there, get a beautiful looking ground pound off, interrupting the capture of that. And now look at this guy moonwalking away, just kind of zodding. And just to help them out with the toughness, you can see those Chaos Heretics there, while in combat, upgraded to have the Aspiring Champion, that fine-looking gentleman there actually wearing power armor. But they're looking a little bit thin in the numbers right now, using a Doom Blast just to do some damage here, but gonna have to retreat. You can see everybody retreating and taking one more casualty. Mr. Aspiring Champion, the actual only guy left here, the Space Marine who is relegated to having to deal with a bunch of noisy heretics instead. Anyhow, though, looks like he's going to be fine, and for the time being here, the Sentinel going to continue being annoying. But notice that the end result of all of this was that Caeltos grabbed the center and grabbed the bottom, putting him ahead. He is at 499 points versus 415 for Frost. As I may or may not have mentioned, I don't know, I just kind of talk sometimes. Frost is like 2200 rating right now, 2200 rating on the 1-versus-1 ladder, the head-to-head ladder, and Caeltos is like 2100, really close, like 2nd place versus 7th place or something like that, but they're all like within 100 points of each other anyways. You can see here that the Commisar Lord, just shrugging off all this bolter fire here, is going to continue poking away at that Plague Champion with his sword. Now, great use of forced melee here, just to make sure that they stop firing and instead get in. Obviously, these Chaos Space Marines were anticipating that he would begin retreating, but instead he stood there and fought. And having regenerated enough mana, activated his shield a little bit, and is just going to chase away the rest of the Chaos Space Marines there. So that was a pretty good move. Pretty good move by Frost there, just calling his bluff. Obviously, Frost knew that he had Catachan Devils coming. Perhaps Caeltos saw the Catachan Devils coming and realized he didn't want to get knocked back with a high explosive shot or anything like that, and just peeled on out of there. So, again, we can see some nice little bolter fire coming around the corner here. Getting, looks like a single kill off on that Guardsman squad there. That's looking all well and good. Let's take again just to kind of recoup on the build orders here. The only additions that we've had is the Chaos Havocs came out for Caeltos, and the Catachan Devils came out here for Frost. And look at me just minimizing my UI there. But you can see here that Frost is just slightly ahead in power, not by too much though. But it looks like going to have to go ahead and just cap some of the stuff that Caeltos has taken care of here. So pretty good looking position here. Nobody really owning the center. Frost did cap the top and bottom right now, so it is 386 points right now for Frost, 463 for Caeltos. Caeltos is a nice strong position going in the middle here, and the Sentinel has got to be careful. He doesn't want to deal with that too much, but of course you can always run in, lead things off with a ground and pound like you see right there. Fortunately for Caeltos' micro there, he got half of his squads away from that. But this other squad here taking a bit of damage. Unfortunately, not focusing the wounded squad, instead trying to get a casualty on the retreating squad. Bit of the wrong direction there, but we can see the Heavy Bolter is now out there right now. Heavy Bolter does terrific damage on a Sentinel. Sentinels really have to look out for that. They are not normal vehicles. They, you know, blah, blah, blah. Sentinels take more damage from the kind of fire that you would normally expect. Hurts infantry and that sort of thing. So anyhow, you can see the Commisar Lord has been upgraded to have his power sword. And it looks like, let's take a look around and see, he's just going to go ahead and retreat away from that. So who cares? Anyhow, we do have the Plague Champion moving around. Gonna try and cap this. We do have some improvised explosives. Oh my god, you're standing on improvised explosives. Be careful, Mr. Plague Champion. But I think he's going to be okay for the time being, because it does take a little bit of... you just have to be aware of that kind of stuff and have sight over it. So anyhow, looking more towards the center here, we can see that the Catachan Devils were trying to engage here, but being backed up by a Heavy Bolter, double chaos Marine squads are just going to charge on in here. That is a lot of DPS. They're just going to move on in, cap that center point, and you can see while all this was going on, the Chaos Heretics also capped the northern victory point right there. Chaos Heretics having been upgraded with grenade launchers as well to try and help out a little bit with this fighting here. We can see that the Guardsman here dealing some damage here with the Sentinel. Unfortunately, there we go. Never mind. There is a repair going up. I didn't think I saw him do that right away, but always remember that you can continue to fight and repair. It only takes one guy away from the squad to repair. That threw me off a little bit when I first started playing this game, because, ooh, check this out, by the way. We do have the Plague Champion has upgraded his Bile Spewer. The Bile Spewer, basically a flamethrower, but not really, you know what I mean. Think, you know, Bane Wolf kind of effect here, and he's just going to go right ahead and use that just to do some nice, good-looking gen bashing. Unfortunately for him, though, we've got a Guardsman squad and a Catachan Devil squad coming out. He can expect to get knocked back any moment now. You can see him using that wonderful Bileless Discharge right there, which kind of slows and stickies them down, makes them a little bit more vulnerable, but he's going to have to go ahead and retreat out of there. And what is that? The pitter-patter of a nice little Heavy Bolter I hear railing into that power node. Yes, it is a beautiful-looking flank right now as the Sentinel comes up directly behind these gentlemen, stomps them right over this little guardrail thing here. Not guardrail, you know, a bunch of pipes or whatever, but stomped right through a bunch of industrial scenery. And they're just going to have to retreat away here. So control of the left side right now, going pretty handily right now to Frost. Frost, I just heard the explosive sound of some new generators going down as well. So both of them are sitting tight at 3 generators, it looks like. But he, of course, had to repair those. Good use of worship going on right now. Now, remember, of course, the the Plague Champion, being a worshiper of Nurgle, means that the Chaos Heretics, when they worship Nurgle, so they actually do AoE healing. Everybody does a different thing. We can see, again, that Bileless Discharge going off. That'll certainly help out the Chaos Space Marines and Plague Champion, who are just being healed in the midst of all this. But no, realizing he wanted to kind of take that out of the equation there, using the old reliable Grenade Blast, just kind of knock back Caeltos' Heretics, who are going to get back up unperturbed by explosive ordnance and are just going to continue worshipping their friends, healing away and all that sort of thing. Plague Champion here looking a little bit slow as everybody's just kind of lapping him. Looks like perhaps he's making a beeline back for the generators again. Just going to instead spray some bile all over this Sentinel. So anyhow, Frost completed his tech to tier 2 a little bit earlier than Caeltos, as I was mentioning before, just a little bit ahead in terms of power. Remember, you're always looking for that 125 power mark. Again, anybody who's new at this game, that's the sweet spot. That's when you can start hitting tier 2, 300 and 125. But you can see using that Bileless Discharge there once again, just to kind of keep these Guardsmen at bay. Unfortunately, the Plague Champion kind of took that all in the face. Anyhow, so Frost is leading off tier 2 right now with his Chimera. Going to get that on the field right now. That could be really powerful on a map like this where the victory points are so far away, allowing for adequate transport and allows him to get good flanks up on Heavy Bolter squads that may or may not be set up. Ooh, and check this out. Using their detection, since they do have a aspiring champion in their squad. It looked like they were firing away at those improvised explosives, but it looks like they didn't quite feel that was necessary and stopped doing that. Sentinel, on the other hand, just kind of decapping stuff on this side. And for the time being, I like the fact that he was kind of covering his retreat here. You can see he set up the bolter here, moved his troops back, and then just kind of fell back with the bolter. It's kind of always a good idea to try and sucker people into your heavy weapons teams, but unfortunately, what's being suckered in today has got a gigantic goddamn bulldozer on the front of it. Always look out for bulldozers with lasers all over them. That is not a fine way to start your day, and you can see these gentlemen are going to have to back out here. Maybe he's going to go ahead and drop some people out and try and force some melee. Nope, instead it looks like he's just going to make a beeline right for this victory point down south. So you can see we've got the Catachan Devils, the Guardsmen, and the Commisar Lord with his fancy-looking power sword there, taking control over the middle right now, and it's about to be a 3-cat. No, never mind. This Chimera is not doing squat. Chimera obviously hunting around, smelling Chaos Heretics somewhere around here, and now this is what he wanted to do all along. The Chimera and the Sentinel moving in. Sentinel going to get a wonderful ground pound here if he's not careful. Yes, he does, getting a stun, but they have already retreated. More towards the back, we can see that it looks like the Catachan Devils have been upgraded to have a Sarge. They've got that nice-looking fusion gun kind of effect coming out of one of their models. And the Guardsmen here, 9 out of 9, also have a Sergeant. So just going to go ahead and get some light gen bashing on. And we can see here, oh, it looks like our heavy bolter team, by the way, has been upgraded. We can see the Chaos Havocs right now rocking out with an autocannon. So autocannons were quite buffed after 3.14. Or at least not buffed, but made a lot more viable. They didn't make any sense before. So now you can definitely use them. They're a nice light counter to vehicles, but at the same time, they still work very well against infantry. So they're kind of halfway between a last cannon and a heavy bolter, sort of. Looks like our Plague Champion, by the way, has the icon of Nurgle, another great item which was also buffed this patch. Just a little bit, but it was pretty significant. Its aura was basically increased. You can see all these gentlemen have that little green ticking on them right now. They all take a very slight damage over time effect whenever they're in an aura. And 3.14 effectively, you know, it went from 12 to 22, but almost doubled the distance of that aura. So much better now. Especially when you're dealing with lots of little relatively low hit point units, like tons of Guardsmen and stuff. That's pretty good here. So you can see, by the way, Chaos Space Marines have been upgraded to have the Mark of Tzeentch. Right now, we've got some old reliable blasts going in there. It looks like we have, yes, the Chaos Heretics right now do have Touch of Nurgle. Wow, doing a ton of damage right there. Completely taking out that Guardsman squad. The Touch of Nurgle, of course, is a Plague Champion ability that when a unit buffed by it dies, it explodes and does damage and heals everybody around it. Pairs very well with Chaos Heretics normally because they have Doom Blast, but these gentlemen have, of course, been upgraded to have grenade launchers instead. So they were just kind of popping naturally, just kind of bursting all over the place, spreading their nurgly goodness all over the Imperial Guard. So unfortunately, the Plague Champion wasn't there, but once you start stacking all of these losing hit points and gaining hit points effects, that can be very effective. Plague Champion getting a little bit crazy here, though, just deciding that he really wanted to spray these guys with some goo, but now he's going to have to get out of there. So for the time being, Mr. Frost is pretty in control of this. He's got solid control over the middle, 1 to 0, but 275 to 311. We do have the Chimera up here, having taken a little bit of damage. As we saw, there was that autocannon team up there. Autocannon team setting up once again. I have no idea why that autocannon has a bayonet on the end of it, by the way. I don't know if you can see that. But it does clearly have a nice little knife on it. But you never know, man. You need to hack and slash at somebody with your giant autocannon. Space Marines are pretty tough, after all. So right now we can see nice little shot here, and just to get a picture of that autocannon just letting loose here, firing into all these guardsmen who are also being covered in grenades right now from the grenade launchers. That's looking pretty good, but they are quite buffed right now by the Commisar. Gonna have to look out. They are just kind of gritting their teeth and bearing it right now. You can see the Heretics have left, and that is going to be the end of the autocannon team as well. So despite putting up a nice shot there. Oh, but what do we have here? Could it be? Could it be? I'm looking for it. Yes, it is. It is a Noxious Cloud being summoned in by the Plague Champion. The Noxious Cloud doing terrible, terrible damage over time. Oh, God, and just completely taking out. Did that whole squad go, or did that one squad remain? I think that one gentleman from that squad was able to get into that vehicle right there. You can see that Noxious Cloud there. It has a very, very subtle graphic. I always thought it should be a more billowing sort of miasma type effect right there. I like to try and use all my vocab words in one cast whenever I can. But unfortunately, it's just kind of a subtle little texture on the floor. Anyhow, we've got the Chaos Space Marines grabbing the middle. It looks like the Plague Champion, again, just kind of wandering around on his own. Nobody really likes to hang out with him. He is quite a gross little individual there. But he's wandering off, taking care of stuff on his own. You can see the Chimera now kind of leading the charge in the center. Again, anything with Bulldozer brandishing many lasers, always a good thing to send in first. But here we go. The Plague Champion just going to make sure that he takes out this generator farm once again. I'll have to see what kind of effect that's going to have. Frost doesn't have that much power right now, so that could be pretty good. But, you know, you never know. It's always good to take out generators whenever you can. Over here on the right-hand side, we've got some nice Nurgle worship going on. Looks like the Commissar Lord was engaging these Chaos Havocs in some ferocious melee. But unfortunately, this, like I said, the worshipping for the Nurgle heretics there is going to be restoring hit points. You can always tell little green hexagons around the feet means healing. Whenever you see that, somebody's being healed for some reason or another. But my god, this Commissar Lord, one tough bastard.